At 30,000 feet, the world below looked peaceful. But inside row 12, Ava Cole's heart was anything but calm. The hum of the engines was steady, the sunlight gentle on the wing, yet her chest tightened with every mile. She hadn't been in the sky for years. Not since that day, the one that still haunted her every night. Ava once flew for the Air Force. She'd been a combat pilot, confident, sharp, unstoppable. Until a mission went wrong. Until her co-pilot didn't make it home. Guilt grounded her, not the military, not orders, but her own heart. So she left. She promised never to fly again. Today's flight wasn't about courage. It was supposed to be a small step, just a passenger, not a pilot, not a soldier. She closed her eyes, headphones in, letting the quiet hum of flight wash over her. Outside, clouds drifted like memory, soft, distant, unreachable. The seatbelt light blinked off, and a flight attendant smiled, offering water. Ava nodded, her hands trembling slightly as she reached for the cup. She whispered to herself, "It's just another flight." But somewhere deep inside, a part of her, the part that once led missions through storms and fire, stirred faintly. The sky wasn't done with her yet. 2 hours into the flight, the sunlight flooded through the windows, bathing the cabin in gold. Children laughed softly, a man in a suit tapped at his laptop, and Ava let herself breathe. It was the first time she felt at peace since she'd left the Air Force. She thought maybe, finally, she could forgive herself. But fate has a way of waiting for stillness before it strikes. The intercom crackled, static breaking the calm. The captain's voice, steady at first, carried an edge of unease. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a minor technical issue." A few heads turned. Ava didn't move. She'd heard that tone before, calm words over chaos. She looked toward the cockpit door, instincts quietly waking. Then came another sound, a faint alarm tone, muffled but sharp, echoing from the front. The flight attendants whispered, their smiles faltering. The engines, moments ago a soft lullaby, shifted in pitch, uneven. Ava's breath shortened. She gripped the armrest, eyes narrowing. Her mind, the part trained to analyze, calculate, react, switched on. Passengers murmured nervously. "Probably turbulence," someone said. But Ava knew better. Her pulse quickened. The past she had tried to bury began to rise, uninvited, through the clouds. 10 minutes later, the cabin lights flickered. A steward hurried past, pale and anxious. Ava watched him whisper to the head attendant near the cockpit. The woman's face strained of color. Moments later, the intercom clicked again. "If there's anyone on board with flight experience," the captain's voice trembled slightly, "please come forward." The words cut through the air like a blade. Passengers exchanged fearful looks. "Did he just say flight experience?" someone whispered. Ava froze. Her pulse thundered in her ears. "No," she whispered to herself. "Not again." But the tremor in the captain's tone, that subtle fracture only a pilot would recognize, told her everything. This wasn't a routine issue. Something was failing. A child began to cry. A woman prayed quietly, clutching her husband's hand. Ava's fingers dug into her seatbelt buckle, her chest heaving. She closed her eyes, flashes of her past mission replaying in her mind, smoke, alarms, a co-pilot's voice fading in static. She'd sworn she'd never do this again. But 300 souls sat behind her, waiting for someone to save them. "If anyone can help us, please come to the cockpit," the captain repeated, voice cracking. Ava opened her eyes. And for the first time in years, she didn't feel like a ghost. She stood up. Every step down the aisle felt heavier than the last. Passengers turned to watch, confusion, hope, and fear mixing in their eyes. Ava moved steadily, her expression calm, her movements precise. The flight attendant opened the cockpit door, and the smell of burnt electronics hit her instantly. Inside, chaos. Warning lights blinked furiously across the dashboard. One pilot slumped unconscious in his seat, the co-pilot. The captain's face was slick with sweat, his hand trembling on the controls. "Hydraulics failing," he muttered. Ava didn't hesitate. I'm a former Air Force pilot, she said sharply. Move over. The captain blinked, stunned. You, what? We don't have time, she snapped. He nodded, sliding aside. She sank into the co-pilot's chair, her hands finding the familiar rhythm of instruments, dials, control yoke. Her fingers remembered what her heart had tried to forget. We're losing pitch control, the captain said. Then we compensate manually, she replied, voice steady now. The training returned like a storm breaking through silence. Her mind aligned, wind speed, altitude, torque. Contact ATC, she ordered. Tell them we're declaring emergency descent. The captain obeyed. Outside, clouds swirled violently as the plane dipped slightly. But Ava's focus never wavered. The soldier in her was awake again. Lightning flashed across the windshield, slicing through the daylight. The storm had grown monstrous, clouds churning like dark ocean waves. Ava's hands were steady, but inside, the past collided with the present. Every vibration, every warning alarm dragged her back to that fatal day years ago. Steady, she whispered. Not again. The captain glanced at her. You okay? She nodded, eyes locked on the horizon. I will be. The radio hissed, air traffic control guiding them toward a narrow path between thunderheads. Flight 742, maintain descent heading 270. Copy, Ava said. The plane jolted hard, sending gasps through the cabin. We've lost left engine thrust, the captain said. Ava clenched her jaw. We'll make it on one. She adjusted the pitch manually, counterbalancing the drag. The controls fought back like a living beast. The strain on her arms was brutal, but she held firm. In her periphery, a small photograph taped near the dashboard caught her eye, the captain and his daughter. 300 souls depending on her. Ava's guilt began to crack, replaced by fierce resolve. The plane steadied. You've done this before, the captain said softly. Ava exhaled. Once. But I didn't finish it. And now she would. Minutes felt like hours as the coastline came into view below. The storm faded, sunlight breaking through like a promise. Runway in sight, the captain announced, voice trembling. Ava guided the jet with practiced precision, her voice calm, her breath even. Flaps 30. Gear down. The landing gear clunked into place. The cabin was silent, no one breathed, no one spoke. The runway rose to meet them. Hold it, she whispered. The wheels hit the tarmac, bouncing once, twice, then rolling steady. The engines roared, brakes engaged, the aircraft slowing into peace. The passengers erupted in sobs, cheers, applause. Ava sat back, hands shaking. The captain looked at her in awe. You just saved 300 lives. She smiled faintly, tears in her eyes. No, she whispered. They saved me. As the plane taxied to a stop, sunlight filled the cockpit, warm, forgiving, golden. For the first time since that long-ago mission, Ava felt weightless. The guilt that had grounded her for years had burned away in the fire of grace. She didn't plan to be a hero. She just refused to give up. And somewhere above the clouds, perhaps her lost co-pilots smiled. Because Ava Cole had finally come home.